Hello everyone, today we're going to teach you how to do this. Alright, lag rolls, here we go. Objective: reduce closure, maximize firing capability, prevent overshoots, and exhibit defensive maneuvering during an attack run. Pretty much the best of all worlds if we can get it. So how are we going to do this? Well, a lag roll is a flyby option that uses geometry to control closure rate and maintains movement in all three axes of motion. Alright, so let's show it to you. Hooray, animation! Alright, get a quick 3D perspective here, and there's the lag roll. Alright, so lag rolls. Characteristics. So it's basically a tight barrel roll behind the target, and you might have seen the red line there. That represents the flight path of the enemy, and so you're rolling about its flight path. Now that might not necessarily be behind the enemy. Behind, I mean toward the aft of the spacecraft, because remember that in Star Citizen, spacecraft can go left, right, up, down, backwards, so it's pretty much a roll about the path that in the direction of where the ship was just coming from. Okay, so you're going to roll into and strafe away from the target. And this is going to create this sort of three-dimensional lag roll that's going to just lengthen the amount of distance you're going so that you kill your closure. It's going to maintain velocity in 3D movement. So that's why you're not just like hitting the brakes or slowing down, reducing your throttle. It's generally a bad idea to do that, especially when there are other ships that are gunning for you around. You want to maintain movement as much as you can, but you also don't want to lose sight of your enemy, and you don't want to end up in a precarious position. So this kind of takes care of that. And if you do it right, you can end up in an advantageous target profile, which means instead of being directly behind him, which is what would normally happen, you can be off to the side or something and have a better firing position. Alright, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to roll into, strafe away, check closer, and pips on target. Rolling into, so you're rolling into the enemy, into the direction that he just came from. Now you're also going to strafe away, so whichever way you're rolling, you're generally going to strafe the other direction. And that's what's going to create your 3D circle. If you don't really strafe, then it might work out for you, especially if you have comm stab off. You can experiment with doing that, but it helps to strafe because that sort of swings out your turn a little bit. It's like taking traction control off. So it's going to allow you to get that distance that you need. Remember that you're intentionally trying to fly a longer flight path here, so allowing yourself to drift, which you can do by strafing, is going to help you out in this situation. Alright, so you're going to continue doing this, keeping the enemy in sight, kind of rolling around and strafing away until you've judged that you've killed your closure, and that's what check closure means. And then finally, you're going to continue to roll until you can get pips on target, preferably with the target going off either to the left or to the right, so it presents an easier target to follow due to the mechanics of the game. And then you're just going to continue your firing run, and you should be in a very good position if you do it right. Okay, so here we see it from another perspective, kind of behind. You can see the left side of the loop is a little messed up there. I did my best with the animations, but you can see definitely rolling about the enemy's flight path there, and that's kind of what you're looking for. Alright, let's take a look at this example with the Scythe and go through it step by step. So first thing you want to do is determine that you've got excessive closure, and you probably saw I had some pretty good closure going on here. If I didn't do something, I'd definitely overshoot or collide with the Scythe or something like that. So I don't want to brake because that's going to leave me vulnerable, and I'll still be behind the Scythe, which isn't a very good aspect. It's not. I don't have a lot of good profile. Oddly enough, ships in Arena Commander aren't like ships in Star Wars. Shooting the engines from the back doesn't make them explode. So you want to get like a higher profile, kind of like we were talking about in the defensive maneuvers course. High target profile helps you out with fighting them. So I'm going to look at where the Scythe's going, because next I want to roll into, and by that I mean I want to roll into the target. I'm like, okay, well, let's see here. The Scythe's pointed down, kind of. It's a little bit to the right, but look at my lag pips. It's like, oh, okay, now I see. So it's kind of pointed off to the left, which means the scythe is sort of moving up and to the right. But I've got a lot of closure here, so I want a really large lag roll. So instead of going to the left, which would be the shorter lag roll here, I'm actually going to go to the right here, and it's going to work out just fine for me. So I'm going to roll in 2, which means I'm going to roll right. I'm going to strafe away, which means I'm going to strafe left. All right, so at this point I figured out that I've arrested most of my closure, and I'm no longer at threat of hitting the scythe or overshooting and losing track of him. You'll notice that I kept the scythe on the screen the entire time, and I did that by doing the lag roll. So I was rolling right, strafing left. I'm still doing that here. And now that I've checked the closure, I am looking to get my pips back on target. I'm going to try to time my roll here so that I roll out with the scythe heading kind of from left to right and with my pips right on target. So here we go. All right, so you can see here that the scythe kind of continued its original path. It was sort of arcing to, I think it's left, our right here. And you saw that large target profile exposed. I rolled out right with my lag pips on target, and the exact kind of trajectory that I want it to be. So you see the scythe is moving from left to right and slightly up. That's perfect for an attack maneuver like this, and I take out the scythe. Alright, so here's a video of me practicing in free flight, just like I try to do with all the exercise videos, give you something to work on in free flight. And I tried it out in a Hornet. I don't normally fly a Hornet, but just like anything else, I try to do the Hornet every once in a while just to show people that you can do maneuvers in a Hornet. And well, in free flight, kind of ran into some issues. It's really hard to do this maneuver on a stationary target. This is one of the few things that you can't really do in free flight. You can try doing it on asteroids like I was here with mixed success, but what's going to happen is you're going to do the lag roll, then you're going to fly right into the asteroid. So if you're not careful, so like that's kind of the downside, because you know, you're only going to do a lag roll usually if your target's moving. If it's stationary, then you're going to kind of go into like a circle maneuver or something. But anyway, so I was kind of messing around in here with the Hornet, and then I was like, well, you know, maybe I'll try some moving targets. I'll go to Vandal Swarm, and I was working with the Hornet and Vandal Swarm, and it's not that I couldn't do the lag roll in the Hornet. It's just that I didn't really ever need to, and I realized it's like this Hornet is just so slow. Like, excessive closure with a target is just never one of its problems. At least not with the scythes. I don't know, maybe if you were fighting an Aurora or a Cutlass or a Gladiator or something like that, it might happen where you're like, oh crap, I'm about to overshoot, and then you might want to do a lag roll in a Hornet. But you know, it's something to keep in your repertoire, and kind of, even if you're not doing the lag roll to prevent an overshoot, just kind of the rolling and strafing motion that will throw off attacks, like what I'm practicing with some of these asteroids here. I see a lot of the better players in their videos doing it, just this rolling, strafing motion that kind of, in a Hornet, to evade any fire at all, you got to be on top of your game. So definitely using everything at your disposal. Strafing, rolling, boost, everything you can do to avoid fire is what you need to do in a Hornet. Alright, so next I tried it out in my Gladius, and it works a lot better in the Gladius because the Gladius actually has a chance of overshooting a target. So in each of these examples, you see me flying towards a scythe, and I'm about to overshoot, and then at the last second I just strafe outside the turn, do a rolling motion, and then get my pips back on target. And preferably you do the roll until you have killed your closure and you've got your the motion of the enemy target moving off toward the right or left side of your screen so that you can easily track them. Just like anything else, you want to yaw instead of pitch for the Gs and the thrusters and better screen real estate, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, here's that. All right, so moving forward from here, obviously you want to try this out in Vandal Swarm. If you want to, you can try Free Flight. In Free Flight, what I would do is I would focus on just kind of getting the motions down, the muscle memory. It's like, okay, I need to roll right, and I need to strafe left, or I need to roll left, and I need to strafe right. Just focus on that part rather than actually tracking the target, because there isn't a moving target, so that's not going to feel right at all. But kind of getting the muscle memory down, then try Vandal Swarm, and those Vandal are really good for lag rolls because they like to slow down a lot. So this maneuver in particular is probably more useful in Vandal Swarm than actually multiplayer. But yep, you can do a ton of lag rolls and win Vandal Swarm just by doing those all day. I've done it before. So experiment with Comstab boost decoupled in Free Flight or Vandal Swarm, whichever you'd like. I find that in the ships I like to fly, Comstab on helps with the lag roll because it kind of, with strafing, you're sort of manually setting your outward speed, and then it kind of helps you with getting your flight path in line with what you want it to be for the lag roll, sort of a barrel roll around the flight path of the enemy. It's kind of hard to explain. Boost, probably never gonna really need boost for these unless you're in a Super Hornet and you're creating too much lag with the lag roll, as in like the enemy's getting away from you as soon as you do the lag roll, at which point you really shouldn't be doing a lag roll, but if you accidentally did, then you need to probably use boost to catch back up. And then decoupled mode. So this is what I do. I prefer when I'm doing the rolling and strafing, I go into decoupled mode so I can get my full left or right strafe. Because remember, with additive strafe, it mixes it. So cool. So when are you going to use this? Well, you're flying at a target, and what you've probably done, and you've seen a lot of people done, is like you're flying at your target. It's like, okay, so I want to keep my shots on target. I don't want to overshoot him, which means fly past him and lose him off my windscreen. So what am I going to do? Is like, okay, well, maybe I'll brake or I'll reduce my throttle. But then you're really vulnerable and you're in a straight line and you're slow, so that's a bad idea. We learned that in defensive maneuvering course. It's like, okay, I'll just overshoot him. But then you're losing situational awareness to where he is. He's going off your screen. You got to reacquire him. You're doing the whole, oh, let me decouple, turn, and find him a thing, and then you're vulnerable because you don't know what's going on. You'll see this a lot. I think Zine referred to this as being on tilt, although he was referring to Vandal when he did it, but it's like you see someone boom past you and then they completely lose you, and you see their nose scanning around for the person wildly, and it's pretty funny to watch, but that's exactly what happens. So with a lag roll, if you play it right, you can keep your enemy in your screen. It might not be in the center of your screen, but you keep them on the edge and you sort of roll around your enemy, and then you're able to reacquire him and get the lags back on target. Another thing, if you get really good at doing this, you can use it to stop a joust. And what I mean is somebody coming straight at you, maybe you're doing a legacy roll attack or something like that, or a skidded attack or something, and you pass them, and they're expecting you to blow right past them and do the same thing everybody else does, where you like decouple turn, or you do a comm stab off turn, strafing turn all the way around, and you try to reacquire, and you fly right back at each other on the same vector again. It's like, if you do this, you're going to turn inside of all that, and you're going to be able to reacquire him faster than he'll be able to reacquire you. And then all of a sudden you'll be at his midsection, like over top of him. He either won't see you or won't know what to do, and you'll be able to lay some shots into him with impunity. So good thing to try there. And I'll try to get some video once multiplayer is up of me doing that, because it's always pretty cool when that happens. But yep, so give it a shot. Vandal Swarm, practice, especially since the multiplayer servers are down. And as always, fly safe.